So, Mike, I think we're live. I'm not 100%
Stuff.
sure. So, just give you a bit of a housekeeping microphone. Just keep it this distance
Yeah.
away. For the
I know that well.
So, Mike, thanks a million for coming on. It's been a while in the making.
Definitely, we've discussed it for a while. Yeah.
We put it off a few times because there's certain things coming up, and they wanted to include that and talk about it, which I think is great. So, yeah, let's get straight into it. Like, I've known you probably 6 or 7 years.
That's
now.
right.
We've
That's
been
right.
mates.
Yeah.
Good group of Irish people.
Definitely taking
Yeah.
over.
We're not here to take part. We're here to take over.
That's right.
Yeah. So I want to go back to Ireland basically because that's
Yeah.
because I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I know about you, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to find out the stuff I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
So, this way you're on the podcast. Like you're an inspiration to a lot of people. I know you don't really see that, but
Yeah.
I can tell you
Jury's
are.
out on that.
So, mate, you grew up not far from where I'm from, there, Kenny.
That's right. That's right.
People are going to struggle by the way with the captions on here.
I'd put them a post today. Can people have their translators at the ready?
So back to Letterkenny. So you grew up in Letterkenny.
Yep.
I remember going to Letterkenny nightclub. I remember as soon as it was 1 or 2 a.m. It's over. Next thing they play the national anthem.
That's right. They still do that at home. It's mental. It's just like everybody stands to attention, and they have the slow sets as well. You know. But every nightclub at the end of the night stand to attention. You dare not talk or flinch during the national anthem, or you get lynched by the mob. Literally, it's
surreal.
It's crazy. It's I have to pinch myself when I go home, and they still do that. But you know what? It's part of Irish culture, and it's maybe it's some of the reason why Irish people are so patriotic and so loyal, which is a flag we carry around the world with pride. You know.
Definitely. So you grew up in Letterkenny. What was your sort of background before you came to Australia? This is the part that I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Went to secondary school at St. Eunan's Secondary School, all boys Catholic school. I went to, after school, I wanted to study physiotherapy. I actually, when I left high school or secondary school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was a bit lost, but I was doing a lot of sport, and I got injured, and I had to go and see a physiotherapist, and I thought to myself, that's what I want to do. Right. But at the time, I had no science subject in my, what's the leaving cert? I think it was A-levels for you guys, was it? Or, whatever the exams when you finish high school. So I had to go to my local IT, it's called, like the regional college, and do I got enough points in my leaving certificate to get into physiotherapy, but I didn't have a science subject in my last subjects, so I had to go and do a basic 1-year degree in science.
Right.
So I entered this degree in science in Letterkenny IT, and I just, for some reason, part of the course was there was a chemistry module, and I did very well on that. So then at the end of the year, a few of my chemistry professors came and said to me, like, Mike, how passionate are you about physio? Because you've got a bit of a knack for this chemistry thing. We think you should go on and do it. So I did a second year at that, which was applied chemistry with IT. And then that got me into a chemistry degree in Glasgow. So after 2 years, I got in and I went into the second year of the degree in Glasgow in chemistry. And I was in my final year at chemistry doing this degree in applied chemistry in Glasgow, and I realized I hated chemistry.
I would never have picked it, to be fair.
I know.
I remember doing chemistry at school.
Yeah, totally. So I was like, oh my God, what have I done here? And I was like, I've started, so I'll finish. So I said, at least I'll finish the degree, and then I'll see what my options are after that. So after I did that, I got offered a place doing a postgraduate in Paisley Uni, and that was applied chemistry with IT and instrumentation, because I thought if I did that, that would let me make the jump into IT. And at the time, it was like 2001, and the internet was going crazy with the tech boom. And I was hearing all these people walking out of college and making crazy money just straight off the bat, and I was like, all right, that sounds good to me. 20-year-old, 21-year-old kid, like just hungry to make some cash. And then I went in to study my postgrad, and I finished that. So I went from there and I started working for the Clydesdale Bank in Glasgow, and I was doing software engineering, but because I was entry level, it was more like network support.
Yeah.
And I did that for about a year and a bit, and then I was just kind of like just questioning corporate lifestyle. And at the time, the whole time I'd been living in Glasgow, I had a couple of great mates that I was living with, and we'd always been into music, and we'd started DJing, and we literally had like, I think there was 8 Technics turntables in a house with 3 of us. There was like, you couldn't go into a room without there being decks and records in there. And we'd run a few parties and a few events just for fun, like just great crowd of our mates. And so when I came over to Australia, I was like, obviously like still very passionate about dance music, but I knew I wanted to take a break from doing anything that was like corporate or career related. So I got a job on a building site. I was doing that for like 5 months. Over the time I was there, I was the first weekend I was in Australia, a couple of my good mates, Swedish John and George, said to me, "You got to go and check out this place called Revolver," and stepped in there, and that was a moment in time that probably changed my life. But
So what? Actually, before you, what brought you to Australia? To say everything, but what was the intention? Like,
it was just,
idea,
but you know what? I'd been in Glasgow for about 6-7 years at that stage, and I just fancied getting out and doing something. Like, I'd done my degree. I'd finished my degree, which was 3.5 years, and then I'd taken a year out and gone to America, or 10 months out and gone to America during that time period. And then I came back, and then I did my postgrad, and that was another year, and then I had 3-4 months off work, and then I'd worked for a year and a bit. So I just wanted to get out and travel a bit, and totally, yeah, absolutely. And Australia, like, everybody's coming back with these amazing stories, but when I got on the flight, I was like, I said to everybody, "I'll see you in a year." I had no intentions of staying here. And I came to Melbourne, and just literally on the first weekend I got here, I just met this amazing group of people. And there's 2 or 3 of the guys I met in that first weekend, John and George, and that it was like 16 years ago, became my best friends, and they're my best friends to this day, So yeah, I mean, John's working in the office with us now. You see him every day. George just had a kid, but yeah, like, I just found this amazing group of people. And then, we were young, and we're going to Revolver at the weekends, and seeing Bugs just like light up Revolver every Sunday morning, that like absolutely changed my life, So just that was what brought me over here. And when I came over, I said I was going to do 5 months in Melbourne, 5 months in Sydney, and spend 2 months traveling around Australia. I did 6 months in Melbourne. I got myself to Sydney. I did 3 months in Sydney, and I was living in Bondi. I really enjoyed it, but it was a really different experience to Melbourne. Melbourne, I was like going out a lot, and whereas when I went up to Bondi, it was like surfing and living on Bondi Beach. But for some reason, something just said to me, I need to get back to Melbourne. Something was drawing me back, and I literally got up one night and kind of packed my bags and came back to Melbourne. I thought, I'll spend the rest of my year working in Melbourne. And then I just stayed,
That's what they say. So you flew into Melbourne from Ireland.
That's right.
So that's what they say. Wherever you land, you fall in love with.
That's right. Yeah.
Sydney, when I went to Sydney, and I was that.
Yeah.
Was my choice, and then that's.
I think this is the greatest city in the world, man. There's nothing like it. I just love this place,
So mate, so tell me, Thick As Thieves, where did it come from originally? It must have been not far after that.
So I got the I came back. I really didn't want to leave, and right before when I came back to Melbourne, I met a couple of amazing people. There was a record shop that I used to buy a lot of records in called Central Station, and I was going in there all the time. And long story short, I ended up getting a job in there, and the owner at the time decided, basically said, like, I was doing quite well, and he said they would sponsor me, but at the time we had to wait. I had to have done another year in Australia. They had set up a sub company, but that company wasn't trading long enough to sponsor me. So they said, we can sponsor you in a year from now. So I went on a student visa for a year, did a diploma in audio engineering at SA. No. I did a diploma in audio engineering and that allowed me to work as well part-time while I was here. And then I got sponsored, and then I spent 3 or 4 years working in Central Station Records, and then me and 2 of the other guys, or 3 of the other guys, sorry, Jeanette and Jimmy and Frosty, we ended up taking over the business from the owner, and we had that for like 5 years, and that was like that was like an amazing experience in my life. It was like I can't thank those guys enough. It was a huge learning curve, and getting to see how a business ran properly, and the musical education I got from those guys, because they were like pillars in the music community at the time. Yeah, I was DJing, and it really cemented my place, I guess, in the music community in Melbourne at that time.
Yes.
So yeah, I was working there for like maybe we had the shop for like 4 or 5 years, and then unfortunately, like the record store, like we were probably like the prominent record store at the time. We changed the name from Central Station to become Here Now, which was Central Station was a brand that was owned by someone else, and then we called it Here Now, which was our own brand. So then me and Frosty started running some parties under the brand Here Now. But what happened was, like within a very, very short space of time, excuse me, when iTunes and Beatport kicked in, the record sales just fell through the floor. And unfortunately, like we just became a victim of the environment. It wasn't anything we were doing wrong. And the writing was on the wall for the record store. So
I just got a picture of the guy in traffic.
It was pretty similar.
You behind the decks. And the two
Yeah. But I mean, we were like, I don't think there was an international DJ that came through Melbourne for a tour between 2004 and 2008 that wasn't in our record shop all the time. And yeah, it was a real hub of building the network. And then one of the things we looked at was, when the record sales, they fell so dramatically. I remember at one stage talking to the boys about it and Jeanette about it, and they had said that in the space of 8 months, our weekly consignment of records went from 3,000 to 300. Like, and that was just like when the digital thing really kicked in, and we were just like, whoa, this is. So then, me and Frosty started running a few events, and then we started doing a few tours as well. Frosty was very tight with, if you remember the Ed Banger guys, like Busy P and those guys, and he brought out a few of them. We put a few tours together. I had quite a few contacts from home. Phil Kieran, Optimo, knew those guys from home, so we started the touring thing. And then it kind of got to the stage where we were just like, this is, it's inevitable what's going on with the shop here. So yeah, I just said to the guys, after a while, got my permanent residency, and I just said, like, guys, I just don't feel the business is sustainable the way it is, and we all kind of parted ways. And I mean, Frosty and Jimmy, so Frosty's still now very, very prominent. He's the head of Animals Dancing, and he's gone, and like we're kind of both running events now and doing tours, but he's in a different market to what I'm in. There's a little bit of crossover because we still do some stuff together, but I'm incredibly indebted to those guys for the education I got and for the for the experience. Oh man, they absolutely. I was like an Irish boy green off the boat, and yeah, they I learned a lot,
Yeah. I'm just reading comments here. Put your mic closer. Put your big face closer to the mic.
Yeah.
So then, I suppose, was that the sort of entryway into setting up the?
Yeah. So like, I think it was like 2008 that I left the record store, and then 2009 I kind of I went out on my own and just started set up Thick As Thieves, and I started doing a few tours. And
so you set up Thick As Thieves on your own?
Well, it was me and Boogs. So
right,
I had an idea, like, I was involved in these events, and we were buying acts off other people for the events. And I was looking at the way some of the touring companies were doing things, and, you'd go and pick up these artists, and you'd say to them, like, what have you been doing in Australia? And they were like, we're just in a hotel room. And I said, is nobody taking you out, or nobody looking after you? And they were like, no, and I think there was a lot of the big companies at the time had a general consensus of like, they're getting paid so they can look after themselves. And I just thought, like, you're coming all the way from Europe, and this country has so much to offer, So I kind of I saw, I guess, a little bit of a niche where I was like, people want to come here. They want to, people come here, they want to have a good time as well. So started putting a few tours together, but, also focused on the experience of Australia and Melbourne in particular. So all the artists came out here, we started taking them, for example, out to Healesville Sanctuary, where you see, and like, it's weird, Pete, because like some of these artists that are flying halfway across the world for them to show their kid a picture of them feeding a kangaroo is just like, that's, you know, it
Better
makes
than
them so
the gig
happy.
itself.
So then, you know, like, you know, there was a lot of stuff we started doing to create a really good artist experience. And you know, I guess, you know, word of mouth started traveling, that like, you know, when I started bringing these guys out, that, you know, the first, I guess, batch of artists that I brought out, they all went back and said to their friends, look, you know, Australia was amazing. We had this incredible time. You know, here's Mike's contact. And a few people started hitting me up. And yeah, the first year, I think I did 9 tours, you know, and then like last year we did like close to 90, you know. So like,
Wow.
it's growing exponentially every year. And it's like, yeah, it's just been, that's the touring side of things. And then I guess, you know, I was running events with Frosty again, and then we, you know, a lot of the acts I was bringing out started, you know, I was involved in this brand called Summer Series with Kev and Daniel, Daniel from Novel and Kev from Stable, and we had that for 10 years. So we would tour some of the acts and we would do the shows ourselves, and you know, it like, again, that it was a slow burner, but it just like, it really took off. I remember one year in particular, we had like, I think it was like 2013 or 2014, but we had like MK, Finna Basin, Patrick Topping, and a few others, and it was just at the year when they all just like exploded. And you know, Revolver went from you know, it went from like 150, 200 people on a Sunday night to just like lined the whole way down Chapel Street. So yeah, we just, you know, we're probably very lucky with that as well. But people just started coming to the events and having a good time, and we always, the same way with the artist experience, I would always make an effort to talk to the punters and find out if I get feedback. Like, you know, it's like, I mean, I used to go to a lot of events myself, and it's like, you know, just saying to people, like, are you having a good night? What could we do better? And continually trying to improve, you know, is like,
because you're lost. That's it. The tree,
that's it, you know. And and I think as well, people, you know, punters like the connection with the people organizing the party, you know, because they see that you're just like a normal punter like them who just wants to come and have a good night, you know. So like, for somebody to say to somebody who's organizing an event, oh, this is what I think you should do, and them to take it on board and maybe action it, like, and you know, it means a lot to people, you know. So yeah, but I've always been, it's always been a big theory of mine that like the punter experience and the artist experience from the touring and the events point of view is just absolutely fulcrum to the Thick As Thieves ethos on running things, you know. So
the buck stops with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have the artists, you don't have the gigs, and you don't have
yeah,
the
you know,
punters,
and like, and it's weird because there's a fair few artists that, like, you know, we've toured and then we've done shows with, and we've helped them build a connection with the punters in Melbourne. So there's particular artists that, like, they've got this massive following in Melbourne that they probably don't have anywhere else, but it's like, it's just a combination of us working with them working with the punters, and the punters working with us, you know. And it just makes everybody feel included, and you know, that's what we want, you know. That's the whole idea of raising the vibration.
Yeah, that's it. So you've toured, you know, some of my favorite DJs, Colch, Patrick Topping. It's like, these guys rave, they love Melbourne. Like, you can see on their social media, like, they just say it's just the best parties. And the parties are great, Pete, as well. And again, it comes back to excuse me, from a touring perspective, like I've always said, touring is like, you know, there's a financial element to it, but you know, if you break it down, and people are traveling the whole way across the world for once a year for maybe 2 weekends or even 1 weekend, there's 2 things that they need. They need good gigs and they need to have a good time. Like, and it's just like, it's not rocket science, you know. Like, just make sure they're looked after, make sure, you know, they're having a good experience in Australia, and make sure the people they meet are nice. And it's funny because, like, you know, there's quite a few of the artists I talk to, and they talk to other artists, and the other artists will say, oh, Australia's shit. It's like, you know, like, we didn't, and I'm like, how is that possible? How Australia is like amazing, you know. How is Melbourne, you know, is like best city in the world. How can you not have a good time here? It just baffles me, you know. So it fell down for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like, you know, look, you know, a lot of agents some agents are ruled by the dollar, and it's like, somebody flies halfway across the world here and they get paid well, but if they're playing at fucking some bottle service club where people don't give a shit about who they are or what they're playing, it's like, you know, like, what is the point? And it doesn't do their profile any good in the long run, you know. So
I've always had a long-term strategy, and with regard to like building artist profiles, you know, I think I've got a good enough relationship with a lot of agents now where I'll say to them, you know, look, you can get more money playing here, but this is, you know, Revolver, for example, that's where you need to play, you know, to you know, have a really good gig and get people talking, you know, like, and luckily, you know, people have I guess backed me and, you know, supported, let me let my vision of how to develop their profile work, and yeah, it seems to work, you know.
Trust you,
yeah,
because they're seeing results.
Yeah.
The brand's growing.
Yeah, well, as long as you know, like the gigs are getting better every year, you know, the fees are going up every year, the artists, you know, having a better time than the year before, and yeah, I mean, it's just a continual development process, but it's something that, like, if you plan it out right from the start, you can get it right, you know.
Brilliant. So, like, it's the 10-year anniversary for Thick As Thieves.
That's right. June. It's like, yeah, June. Still kind of pinch myself, you know. It's like,
but before we go on to that, I just want to go back, because I want to talk about the Fred Hollows stuff, because that's something that's been you know, been happening for the last few years, and like the charity gigs and stuff. So that's helped you get to this 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
So tell me, I'm interested to know how you first came in contact with Fred Hollows and what the story is.
Yeah.
About that.
Well, I mean, the story about why Fred Hollows is simple. Like, when I was at
maybe just give a bit of an overview of what Fred Hollows, what they do.
Right. So Fred Hollows is a charity that's an Australian-based charity. So Fred Hollows was a absolute visionary doctor who basically devoted his whole life. He passed away in I think it was, I can't remember, it was late 90s, but he passed away, and he spent his life doing two things, which was, one, trying to end blindness, which was resulted by cataract disease, because that is deemed as unnecessary blindness. Yeah. Now, 4 out of 5 people who are blind at the moment in the world don't have to be blind, and a simple operation that costs $25 can restore their eyesight. Fred Hollows, like, basically went to a lot of third world countries and just started doing these operations, and like, he was like, I read his autobiography, and this guy was just one of the most incredible human beings on this planet. He went into these countries, and he had you know, he had literally like no equipment, no you know, facing political challenges as well, trying to face you know, going into some of these countries where they think the white man's like the devil and your enemy, and he's just trying to like fix their eyesight. But like, he's literally, I think Fred Hollows the organization has restored the eyesight of 3.6 million people. You know, they're a charity that is like worldwide renowned for they're audited every year, and the charity runs on 6% of the money that they take in. There's 19% that's spent on fundraising activities, but you know, like, on the, you know, on the biggest scheme of things, it makes it to it makes it to where it's supposed to go. I was lucky enough to be out in Cambodia with them a couple of years ago, which I'll touch on later. But they're just an incredible organization. So they focus on restoring eyesight, and they focus on Indigenous health among in Australia. So yeah, Fred was just like, he just rounded up people and got like nurses and doctors and politicians and everyone to just to just like cure these problems that you would not even think exist. Because when you live in, I guess, what you call white Australia, like, you have a cataract, you just go into the doctor and you get it fixed straight away. But people who haven't got access to health facilities, and especially in some of the third world countries, Nepal and Cambodia and Eritrea and places like that, this cataract just gets worse and worse, to the point where these people become blind. And it's like, you know, it's a simple operation to cure it, you know. So it's my story of how I got involved was when I was at Letterkenny IT. There was a big kind of hallway, and in the middle of this hallway there was like a set of, so you imagine this hallway was like this. There was a set of stairs, and just from the middle went up, and it went over, and then it went up again. And there was an albino guy that was at the college, and you used to see him about. You know, obviously white hair, quite distinctive looking, and you know, albinos have traditionally got like short sight or bad eyesight. And I watched this guy one day and I saw it coming. I was like at the other end and I saw him like walking and I could see he couldn't see the steps and he walked head first into these steps and he smashed his head. And these other guys beside him started laughing at them and I was just like a red rag to a bull. I went down and tore strips out of them and then I went over to the guy, "You all right?" And I'll never forget, Pete, the moment. The guy kind of like he said he was all right, but he kind of gave me a like, "This is what it's like every day." And I went home that night. I got so upset by it,
Right.
like I really, it really got me,
Yeah.
But I guess after that,
So that was your first. That was back in Ireland.
yeah,
before
that
you
was back in
came to
Ireland. Yeah,
Australia.
yeah. So
Right.
I decided that like no matter what I did, I was like, I was gonna definitely do something for people to with in regard to eyesight and blindness.
Right.
So when I set up Thick As Thieves, me and Boogs, pretty much from day one, we started running a few events. Boogs has been with me from the start. The deal was always like I set it up, and he was always like the musical leader, and so me and Boogs started running a few events, and we raised some money, and at the time we went and gave that money to the guide dogs, and the Guide Dogs Association, it's a great organization, but what we found out was it cost 40 grand to train a guide dog, which is, it's a lot of money. And then one day I was looking,
One dog.
yeah, one dog, yeah.
Right.
And because you've got to have them with a person
Yeah.
for a year, and it's like they're,
That's training.
and a lot of the dogs don't make the cut, and all this kind of stuff. So I think I was driving down Punt Road one day and I saw this massive sign for the Fred Hollis Foundation. It said $25 can restore the gift of sight. And I was like, the fuck is this, man? How have I missed this? And I went on the website and I dug it up and I thought, $25 can restore sight. And I was just like, I've got to do something about this. So literally the next day I walked into their office and I said, I want to raise some money for you. And they were like, what do you do? And I was like, I run rave parties. And they were just like, excuse me. They were like, how's this going to work? But at the time,
How many years ago was that?
I think it was 6. Yeah, 6. So I had a lot of the artists starting to come out, and it was I think there was a culture in Australia at the time where if you bring an artist out, and like you kind of do a show, and then if the show sells out, you do a second show, and everybody makes more money, and blah blah blah. And I said like if you haven't banked on doing this second show, let's just ask the artist if they'd be able to give up a couple hours of their time for free, and I'll give up my time and my resources for free. We'll run a show and we'll just give all the money to the charity, And you know what, Pete? Like straight off the bat, it was like the first one was like successful. We did Clapton was the first one we did, and we I'd gone up to the Fred Hollis Foundation and they were a bit iffy about like this dance music thing and blah blah blah. I walked in the next day with 20 grand and they were just looking at me going like, and then it happened again and it happened again. And then like they called me and they were like, you have no idea how long it takes people to raise this amount of money, and then on top of that, the whole music community in Melbourne started getting behind it as well. And, people started coming up to me going, when are you doing the next fundraiser? And I was like, well, I don't know. And they were like, well, we're coming. And I was like, but you don't know who's playing yet. And they were like, we don't care, we're coming. And then the show started to carry a lot of weight themselves, so like
You charge $25.
we charge $25
per head.
entry, which every person walks in the door restores the eyesight of one person.
Brilliant.
So that's
it's quantitative. Like
exactly,
you know,
absolutely,
so you can actually see where the money's going.
Yeah.
Spent, it's going to
Totally.
impact, and that just makes
it makes perfect sense, So like so I've had this relationship with the Fred Hollis Foundation for 6 or 7 years now, and it's just like like they just kind of trust me to let me do my own thing. And the thing is, Pete, it's not me. It's like I'm probably like the forefront of it and spirit, but I like organize it. But like it's like my team, the Thick As Thieves team, do a lot of the work. They set up all the events. Like the artists give up their time.
And artists want to do it.
Like the
stories.
Yeah.
Heard that the artists are really
it's Pete. Like it's amazing now. Like I it went from me having to write these emails to these artists going like, there's this foundation in Australia, and sometimes like
one of the things I learned from talking to the artists about it was a lot of artists get asked to do a lot of charity shows, and a lot of charity shows, like the actual shows, like it's a crowd of people with good intentions, but they don't know how to run events.
Yeah.
So like the event means, you know, it's a bit half-hearted and there's not that many people there. And then the artists, like they've given up a night of their time when they could be earning income to, I guess, feed their families or whatever, which is, you know, it's a totally fair point. You know, if somebody asks them to do something on a night when they could be earning a wage. So, you know, a lot at this early on, there was a bit of reluctance about it, but I think once we got into year 3 or year 4 of doing it, like the word had spread, you know, the artists like all loved giving up their time. They, you know, and you know, when you get like a lot of the bigger artists that have toured, you know, Patrick, Clapton, Colch, Anthem, Lovebirds, people like that there, you know, when those guys do it and everybody else sees it, everybody else will go, I want to do it as well, you know, like, and I mean, yeah, it's just become like a snowball now, and it's like, you know, we've a lot of the artists come through all the time are up for doing these charity shows. So I mean, it's a win-win for everybody. You know, there's no yeah.
What was the like you raised? You said there 20 grand in one night. Like,
yeah.
What's the most that you've ever raised?
I think one of Patrick's shows, Patrick Topping's last charity show, we did like I think it was like 33 grand in a night. Yeah. Wow. Amazing, man. Amazing. Yeah.
And what would the total be now? Because I know it's over $500,000.
It's about
unreal.
That was I think we've done. I think it's about 620 or 630 grand a minute. Yeah. But again, Pete, like I'm not going to sit here and it's not just me. It's the Melbourne music community. It's the artists. It's the, you know, it's like my team around me. It's my partners. You know, I've JV joint ventured with like, you know, the hardware guys. You know, like just the Untitled guys, a lot of the Melbourne music crews, you know, we've all banded together and put shows on. Like, if, you know, just to give an example, like I had Dennis Cruz playing at Babylon last year, and then me and Kyle worked together on a charity show, you know. So, yeah, it's just like
it's a win-win-win.
It's a win-win-win, yeah, absolutely.
The end product is, you know, you're making a difference,
you
know, to people's lives.
Totally. And, you know, like it's like, you know, I think, you know, one of the things which I don't want to preach about it, but one of the things people don't realize is like it's $25 to most Australians, not a lot of money. And $25 can change someone's life. You know, it can absolutely. It's the difference between, you know, like, you know, having your eyesight and not having your eyesight. It's crazy when you think it's fucking. I've walked into a cafe in Brunswick Street last week, and it was $28 for a burger, and I was going like, you know, this is somebody's eyesight we've got here. You know, it's like,
we, like, you know, it's we just take it for granted.
Totally.
Well, like I like mornings I wake up there, you know, your gratitude or whatever. You just, you know, you're grateful for your arms and legs and your eyesight. Your
absolutely,
your
yeah.
We just take everything so for granted. We wouldn't know ourselves if we didn't have our eyesight.
That's right. Yeah, but it's an amazing foundation. It's something I'm very proud to be a part of, you know. And I think for my birthday a couple of years ago, when I'd got to the 250K mark, the foundation said to me, like, Mike, you know, look, you know, 10,000 people's eyesight, would love to bring you to see what we're doing in one of the other countries. And I always had this thing where I was like, I'm not going to use the money that we're raising to fly me over there or whatever, you know. So for my birthday, for my 40th birthday, one of my best friends, Jess, who works for us, like, Jess basically arrived at my door and was like, you're going, I bought you the airline tickets, you know, there you can travel with the doctors. So I spent a week in Cambodia traveling around with a Fred Hollows medical team, and like what I saw over there, Pete, was just like it only like fueled the passion further, you know. There was one day in particular I remember I went. So Cambodia is obviously, you know, they had a civil war not long ago, and you know, there's like one of the big issues over there is landmines. So you see people walking around everywhere with amputated legs and amputated arms. It's like, it's very sad, but at the same time, of all the countries I've been to, I think the Cambodian people were the happiest people I've ever met in my life. But we were traveling between Phnom Penh and Siem Reap, and we stopped in, and there was a building that had been bombed during the war. So it was like the Fred Hollows Foundation had set up this makeshift operating theater to kind of
it was like a catchment area for the local tribes and villages.
Yeah.
And we walked in, it was like cooking hot. There was this doctor in there, and they kind of had like 3 beds lined up. So we walked into this, it was an old school, and the whole way down the corridor of the school, it was just lined with people on their hunkers. Like there was probably 200-300 people who had come in from the local areas to get their, every single one of them had like 1 or 2 eyes damaged by cataract disease. And, they're just sitting there waiting for this operation. And I'm looking going like there's so many of them, how's this guy? And it was one doctor. And I went in, I probably spent 4 hours with him in the operating table, and that 4 hours just changed my life. It was like what I saw. So he was just, the first operating table he was getting people up. So one of the nurses would get people up there, and they would spray the stuff into their eyes, and it would harden, and it was like a antiseptic for the outside of their eye. And then move them over to the next table, and there was another nurse who, like, when the outside was hard, she'd just put a massive needle into their eyeball, and just like, it makes people squirm, but it was like it would anesthetize their whole eye. And then the next table over from that was where the guy did the operating, and he was just like, I mean, it sounds a bit gross, but this is what he was doing, man. He had them lying down. Their eye was totally numb, so they couldn't feel a thing, but they were wide awake. He had like a blade and a scalpel, and he was just cutting their eyeball open, and he was using like a fish hook and pulling out this cataract, and you could put it on your hand and see it. It was like a little like a fish eye. I mean, some of them were quite big. Some of them would be like literally like half the size of your small fingernail. You're like, this thing's living in these people's eyeball. Yeah, and he'd pull it out, and then he had this little inocular lens that he put inside, and he sealed up their eyes. And if these people were blind, like they had a patch over their eye for 24 hours, and they woke up the next day, they took it off, and they had nearly perfect vision. And it was unbelievable. Like, now this wee guy, this doctor, like, it was like probably 45 degrees in this room. He was doing between 8 and 12 of these operations an hour, and he was there from like 8 in the morning or 7 in the morning till 8 at night. He was doing like nearly 100 a day. Wow. And I was just looking at this going like, my mind was blown, And then on that trip as well, I got a real insight into what was, I guess, the scope of what they were doing in regard to, you think, so I guess you have the assumption that like you're helping the person who's getting their eyesight restored. But what you realize, like, we went into some of the villages, so the people waiting on their eyes, like, as soon as some of the elder people, their eyesight starts to deteriorate, they kind of get like shunned into the corner of the village, and there's no TVs or radios or anything. So so then their children have to drop out of school to look after them. The children are feeling resentful. They're angry with the parents. And there's this whole mental health component that you didn't realize existed, going on, just because the kids are feeling resentful that they had to drop out of school to look after their parents. So I think one of the Fred Hollows team told me that, like, for every one person that they restore their eyesight, it actually affects 8 or 9 people around them, and it's just ripple effect. Absolutely. So it was just, I mean, it was that trip, just, as I said, it just seeing that the impact that they had on these communities was just, it was incredible. And it was something that I was really glad I experienced. It was hard to look at it for a while, because you realize how fucking good we've got it, like, as I said, like, we can just walk into any doctor's surgery, and as soon as they detect the cataract, you're in the hospital the next day, and it's out the next day after that. Yeah. But unfortunately, nobody, not all people have access to those facilities.
Yeah, I remember I was there in 2013, and
that's right. What were you there for again?
With a charity who believe children should be in schools and not brothels.
Right. So,
sex trafficking, and again, I was the same as you. It broke me open, like the things that I seen and witnessed, and it was just like, I didn't even know this went on, and it was it really did. I totally relate to what you're saying. It just broke me, and I haven't been. You come back a different person.
Totally.
Passion.
Oh,
you're kind of, like, everything goes through the roof. You want to make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So I can totally feel your pain.
Yeah. I think it's something like, I would say, like, I mean, we've both done a lot of personal development, and you get to learn about, like, stuff like, ego. But when you travel in like a third world countries, it's that's a reality check. And what you don't realize is, like, you live in Australia. If you're one of the if you're living in poverty in Australia, you're still living in the top 2% of the world population in regard to wealth.
Yeah.
So like, you know, everybody here's got access to mental health facilities. Everybody's got access to housing, you know, like everybody's got access to food of some description. But over there, it's just like, you know, people who are suffering from, I guess, you know, problems and issues. It's like there's no facilities until some of the NGOs come in, or, you know, like organizations like the Fred Hollis Foundation to help them, you know.
And still, they're the happiest people I've ever met in my life.
Pete, isn't it mind blowing, mate? Isn't it? Like, you know, you see, Pete, I was like, you know, like I remember one of the moments like I had where I was with this old guy who had like, he had an amputated arm and he had an amputated leg, and his leg was literally like a pirate's, you know, like stump. And he had both his eyes done, and like the doctor said to me the next, like, I spoke to him for quite a while before he went in for his operation. He was quite funny, you know, like we had a translator, and he was making jokes about like he wasn't sure if he really wanted to see the wife after all these years, stuff like that there, in case he got a shock. But I took the next day, the doctor said to me, "Do you want to take the patch off his eyes?" And I took the patches off his eyes, and can't even begin to tell you what that was like. You know, it was just like seeing someone who's able to see again for the first time, and, you know, such a long time, was like, you could just feel the energy in the room, Pete. You know, it was like, it was just a moment. Yeah, absolutely. Just, you know, and just seeing the happiness, and I guess it was a real like moment of the Melbourne music community helped provide this, you know, like seeing the impact on, you know, thousands of miles away, you know, from people coming to Revolver to go to these shows, you know, like it was amazing.
It's a nice connection.
It's a great connection, yeah.
It's a connection that probably people wouldn't link together, but it actually works.
Absolutely.
It works a trait, because people do want to help. Like, ultimately, I think people are good at their heart.
Absolutely.
At the core, but we just, you know, we need ways to, you know, bring it to surface, sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So that you would come back from that just pumped, like, you know,
totally.
You know,
so
mixed emotions, but then that would drove you even more, right? Okay.
So I think it took 4 years to raise the first 250K, and then I said I wanted to raise the next 250 in 2 years, and in 3 years we did that, and then I said I wanted to raise the next 250 in 2 years, and we're well on track to do that. And, you know, like, I mean, hopefully, like, you know, I mean, you know, a few people have said to me, like, you know, how, you know, you're going to get to the $1 million mark. And it's like, yeah, we will. But, like, you know, it's not going to stop there. So, like, you know, it's a milestone. It's not a target. You know, it's like, it'll be a moment in time. And yeah, it'll be great to have reached that. You know, I'm hoping we get there, like, maybe 2021. Brilliant. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, it'll just be like another event. We celebrate it and then we move on, you know.
So you do other stuff here. So the Coastal Trek is something.
That's right. Yeah.
So tell me more about that. So that's walk, run.
It can be whatever you want it to be, you know. So I started like in I think it was 2015. I kind of set myself a little bit of a personal challenge, which was to do an Ironman triathlon.
Yeah.
And I hadn't had the arse in the seat of a bike for 20 years before that, and, you know, like I just thought I'll try and raise a bit of money for Fred Hollis Foundation doing it, and then, you know, raise some money. And so many people after that messaged me and said to me, you know, I kind of wish I had known about this. I might have done it with you. And then I realized the Fred Hollis Foundation, they organize this thing called Coast Trek every year, which is it's like a trek. So it's like a walk or a run or whatever you want it to be. And there's two distances. There's a 30K and a 60K. So I just got three of my mates together and said, like, you know, let's do this. So we did it the first year. There was two teams the first year. And then I can't remember, was there two or one team? There's one team last year. We all did the 60K. But I thought this year, you know, it's our 10-year anniversary for Thick As Thieves. And, you know, we've had a great, I guess, connection with the Fred Hollis Foundation. So I rounded up, I got out early, and like everybody who's ever in a drunken conversation has said to me, oh, I'm thinking about doing that. I just got the fish hook out and was just like, you're in, I've signed you up, you know? So I think there's 24 of us now, doing, like, you know, there's 4 of us doing the 60K and there's 20 doing the 30K. And some of these people doing the 30K is like, I mean, when I told some other people that I have them signed up to walk or run 30K, there was a few question marks to say the least on whether they could make it 3K, let alone 30. But it's been amazing. Like there's you know, a lot of the guys are out now and they're doing 15, 20K runs at 6:30 on a Friday, Saturday morning. And, you know, that time they would have been scraping themselves down the stairs at Revolver, you know, like, but
I'm seeing people who would never have thought, checking in on Facebook that they're running and stuff.
Totally. But
it's like, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's been great because like everybody's been so enthusiastic about it.
Isn't it?
It's like, you know, and, you know, I guess people who are normally associated with the nightclub industry are like put in the bracket of being unhealthy and like, you know, they're doing this 30K run now or walk or whatever it is, but like there's not many other people out doing that. So like, you know, it's a bit of an anomaly for the industry we're in, but it's like it's just gathered so much steam, and the crew that are doing it are amazing. They've got like you know, there's a real sense of camaraderie, and there's a bit of big WhatsApp group. Everybody's taking the piss out of each other, you know. So it's it's on 24th of May. It's on down the peninsula, and we'll put a donation link in the show notes after. But yeah, we're starting fundraising as of tomorrow morning, and we're hoping to raise over 40 grand between us, you know, which will be
fantastic.
Another milestone. Yeah.
Again, it's like, you know, these guys that are doing the run, it's like for their health, you know, it's a win-win-win.
Totally.
Like,
totally.
It's just not about raising money. Like they're getting healthy.
Absolutely.
People that you would never have done this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. There's a few. I'll not name any names, but there's a few that.
It's great to see.
It's like, fantastic. And I think as well, Pete, what it's doing is it's spreading the message about the Fred Hollows Foundation, because you know they're all. One of the things the Fred Hollows Foundation have told me is that the amount of people that have liked their Facebook page in Melbourne between the 18 and 35 degree age group is significantly higher than the other states, and you know that might not be us, but there's a good chance we contributed to it. High correlation. There's a good chance we help contribute to that. And it's with charities, people who tend to follow a charity from a young age, they tend to stick with it. So if we can get people interested in, you know, and active on the Fred Hollows page, and if we can get them like following the charity now, like you know, if that lasts through their lifetime, then that's it's what raising the money is great, but raising the awareness of the foundation is just as important, you know. So
that longevity through.
That's it. And
if people want to know more about Fred, just Google Fred Hollows Foundation.
Yeah, I mean,
top of the page
all the course trekkers. When you finish course trek, they give you a little pack, you know, and the Fred Hollows autobiographies in it. And I would encourage anybody to read it. Like it's just you need motivation. I mean, what that guy did was just like, you know, he just took on every establishment. You know, was everything he was told that you couldn't do. Yeah. He just fucking went out and did and found a way to do it. Like he reversed the Jeep into the side of a hospital he was working in, and just like I think he literally like stole loads of equipment and just put it in a plane and sent it to Vietnam so he could use it. I mean, like
just ruthless, just whatever it takes.
But whatever it takes, Pete. But you know, but like, you know, at the end of the day, like who's going to pull him up for helping people? Yeah. You know what I mean? It was just he was a renegade, but he was just he's just an incredible human being, you know.
Unreal, mate. That's kudos to you. Like it's inspiring to watch, as I say. Like it's one of the reasons why you're an inspiration to me and the group that's around. So, Mike, that brings me to the 10th year anniversary. So that's coming up in June. You've got a couple of big parties that are kicking off.
We certainly do. Yeah.
Great lineup. So tell me more. You've just released the info over the last few days.
Yeah. We're planning to do, like, without letting too much out of the bag. We've got 10 things that were planned for the 10 years, and we're going to do we've released a couple of events. So it's been great because, like, you know, our big key flagship event, we've got Patrick Topping and Patrice Baumel. The story with Thick As Thieves, Patrick's amazing because, like, I contacted Patrick, I think it was 2013. I heard a track on a Jamie Jones podcast, and I was just like, what the fuck is this track? And it's this track Patrick had done called Any Amounts. And I contacted Patrick via his SoundCloud page, and I said to him, mate, look, you know, I run this touring agency based in Australia. Said, I know you haven't really got a big following, but, you know, just like, I really like this, and I kind of just feel that something's going to happen for you. Would you be interested in coming to Australia? And I said, I can probably tee up a few gigs. And I remember Patrick at the time was kind of like, I think he thought I was one of those like Nigerian scammers who was, you know, going to ask for his bank account details or something, you know?
Yeah.
But
Patrick came out and did a tour. First show, Revolver. He actually told me it was his first ever international gigs coming to Australia for that tour, before any of his other big records came out. And then, Patrick's incredibly loyal, and just, we've just had great synergy in regard to like the touring. He knows that, like, Patrick's profile has exploded on a worldwide basis, but as well as that, like in Australia as well, like through us all working together. Like I think he told me, like, if you look at his social media, his top cities are, like, I think it's London, Dublin, then Melbourne and Sydney, like worldwide. So he's got this great connection with Melbourne and Sydney and the other cities in Australia, and he just kills it every time, and his profile is just going through the roof. So, like, Patrick being the legend that he is, like I just said to him, I want you here for the 10th birthday, and he just said, yep. He didn't ask what date it was, didn't ask anything, just said, yep, consider it done. And Patrice Baumel as well is coming for that one as well. Like, Patrice is like one of the most interesting people I've met. Like, he's really spiritual, like, just amazing, super good human being, incredible producer. We've had a great connection as well with Patrice, and he just, like, I said to Patrice, do you want to come back out? And he said, of course I do. So that's the main big event. Then we've got a lot of our local guys on that event as well. And then the week before that, we've just announced a show at this awesome venue out in Port Melbourne that hasn't been used much, called the Timber Yard. And that's it's with Boogs, obviously, like, who's, Boogs is God in Melbourne. He's like, there's the inspiration that he has created, the king, man. He's like the inspiration he has had for other DJs, and like, he's me and him, like, became best friends as soon as I got here, just through a mutual love of music. And it's been amazing to have him on the journey with me. And you go into Revolver on a Sunday morning, you just see people looking at him going, like, the fuck is he doing? Like, he just, like, I remember somebody said to me one time, and it summed it up perfectly. They said, like, when Boogs plays, like, the earth moves, like, and it's just, you just feel something different coming through the floor when he's playing. So Boogs is going to be doing a big 5-hour set, which is going to be retrospective of all the music played over the journey with Thick As Thieves. And then, weirdly, I told the story on my Facebook page the other day, but so I've got, like, a second cousin of mine, Ruben, and a young kid, and we weren't really that close until I came out to Australia, and then I figured out he was making a lot of music, and he was making EDM back in the day under the name Ruben Keeney, but he was, like, super young and super passionate, and I was like, the EDM thing was quite big out here. So, like, I managed to get him out here and get a few gigs under his belt, and he had a tour, and we made a vow. We said, like, the next time you come out, you're gonna have made it, and you're gonna stand on your own two legs, and the tour's gonna stand on its own two legs. So every single year I'd go home, me and Ruben would go to our local Chinese restaurant and would have a curry, and then we'd go out and listen to all the new music he made. And I'd come back in and say to me, wee brother and sister, I'd be like, this year, Ruben, this year, he's 100%. You want to hear the music? It's amazing. And it became this running joke in the family where they were just like, oh, let me guess, Mike, this is the year, there's the year. But about, I think it was like maybe October last year.
Yeah. 2018 was it?
Ruben sent me footage of Jamie Jones playing this track, and then I sent it to Brian and to Boogs, and Boogs was just like, mate, this is going to be big, like he's like, and then I just sent it out to, once the promo went out, I sent it out to a lot of the DJs, and it just caught like wildfire. And we just, like, all of us, it went to number one on Beatport, sat there for 5 weeks over the Christmas period, which is one of the busiest periods, and then he followed it up with another big record called The Pipes, and like it didn't go as high in Beatport, but it was massive in the States.
Yeah.
And he's just like, the kid's got the Midas touch at the minute. Everything he's putting out just going straight to the top of the charts, and it's like, it's a great moment for, I think, for me and Ruben, because like we've become so close, and like,
what's the journey?
Well, it's like to have him like for our 10th birthday, for him to nail it at this time, and is just amazing, So we're really looking forward to that one.
So his alias is Rebuke.
Rebuke, yeah. So the Rebuke comes from Ruben Keeney, So like, he's
what age is he? How old is he?
He's 26 now. So I mean, he was out here when he was like 17. Like, so
I
he's,
heard his hot mix on Pete Tong's show like maybe a month or two ago. Was brilliant. The tracks are unreal.
Yeah, like, totally. And it's great. Like, I'm looking at him, on seeing him on all these lineups in Miami with like,
Patrick and Dennis Cruz and all a lot of the big guys, like, so yeah, it's great.
Brilliant. So that brings us to the next thing, Mike, which you're just back from Vancouver, in Canada. And I remember, like, you sent me this website maybe about 2 months ago and says, hey, check this out and see what you think. Like, Tony Robbins does this thing, once a year. There's Dave Asprey, from Bulletproof Coffee that does it. All these gurus go to this place and do this 10-day retreat kind of thing. And I was looking at it and I was going, yeah, of course, go do it. Like, and you were toying with it, and then he says, yep, I'm doing it. You're going to go to Germany at one stage.
That's right.
And then you decided to do it in Vancouver. So it's called Biocybernaut for those who don't know what we're talking about. But tell us more, Mike. Like, I know we.
So it was interesting because it was the DJ Anna who I tour. Anna's like super interesting person, her and her partner Webba, like I tour both of them, and they were out here. Anna mentioned to me the last time she was out here that she had done this thing, and probably the first time she mentioned it I kind of glossed over it, but me and her were driving to a festival this year and we started having a bit of more of an in-depth talk, and I was telling her that I'd been meditating on and off for 4 or 5 years, and kind of like everybody, meditation's hard, and you struggle with it, but Anna meditates for 2.5 hours every day. Wow. And I just found this fascinating, and she's so zen and so centered. And then we got on this, she told me about this Biocybernaut thing, and she sent me a link to it, and the more I delved into it, the more I guess it just caught my attention. And the whole thing with it is I guess how it works is you're when you meditate, you go into an alpha state, and when you're in that alpha state, your brain is more creative, more productive, more efficient, all the good stuff. So for example, if you were to like read a book when you're in alpha state, you'll retain a lot more of the information than you will, say, for example, if you're stressed. And the whole idea with this place is to help you create more alpha brainwaves. So it's something that you can't really do unless you're getting live feedback from your brain. So you go to this center, and for 7 or 8 days, you're in there every day, and they connect these electrodes in the morning so you've got the chambers in your brain are called your frontals at the front, your centrals at the top, your occipitals at the back, and your temporals at the side. And you go into this chamber, and every day, every time your brain, each one different part of your brain sends an electrical signal, the electrode picks it up and it sends it through a computer, and then the computer will generate a noise. That noise is different for every different chamber in your brain, but it's like orchestral sounds. So like you might have like a harp here, oboe here, a flute.
So you're like a one-man band.
You're not far wrong. So you're going into this chamber every day, and you're sitting, and as your brain's firing off these signals, you can hear all these noises. And the whole idea is to try and get your brain to generate more alpha waves. And the first thing they do is they teach you how to suppress it. So it's a very I guess crazy experience, because what you're sitting there and you're basically thinking like negative, bad stuff, and the music just drops. You can't hear any sounds, and then that you're able to suppress it. Right. And then when you start doing like, I guess, positive stuff, you can hear the sounds getting louder and louder. And there's sometimes when this like thing is so loud, it's like it's really surreal. It's totally surreal, but you can tell your brain's raising loads of alpha waves. So you're in there and you're doing, they've got a exercise program that they do for you to help increase the amount of alpha waves.
So it's basically brain training.
It's brain training, yeah, absolutely. And there's a big, I guess, what you call an emotional and a therapeutic component to it as well. So you go down every day. At the end of the day, while you're in this chamber, they do this thing called these mood scales, and it's like you get like just hundreds of these words, adjectives like happy, anger, jealousy, whatever, flashing up on the screen, and you have to rate on a 1 to 5 how you're feeling about that, or give it a yes or a no. And the electrodes are pretty much like a lie detector, because when you come back up, they have a big chart and a graph that say, right, well, you said you weren't feeling jealous, but your brain did this while you said that. Yeah. So then you talk it through it with a therapist, and right. You're talking through the issues you've got in life, and over the course of the week, I tell you what, Pete, there was no stone unturned. There's like everything from, father's death, relationships, anger problems you've had with people, everything comes out. And the idea is that like you discuss it with a therapist and then you go back down the next day while you're in the chamber and you do this forgiveness work. Well, the whole idea is like you want to release as much of this negative emotion as you can, because then your brain will automatically generate more alpha waves, which will. So, I didn't realize there was stuff I'd been holding on to for years that it was, but yeah, through the work I did over there, I came back and I felt incredibly focused. And I've struggled with sleep issues for quite a few years, not total insomnia, but like not getting enough sleep and not getting enough REM sleep and, waking up in the middle of the night and being awake for a couple of hours. And since I've come back, it's like my sleeping pattern's been a lot better. I feel focused at work, the Thick As Thieves guys will probably still tell you I still can't read down below the third line of an email and reply to stuff when I'm supposed to. But yeah, no, I feel more centered,
Yeah, I've definitely noticed, like, as I said, if we went for dinner that time, I've noticed like you're just more present.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not to say that you weren't, but there's something different about you.
Yeah.
And
cheers.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Like, so whenever you hear the likes of Tony Robbins goes to this, and those sort of top guys who there must be something in it. Like,
yeah,
it's not a fad.
The likes of me and you who do a lot of, I love doing personal development. Some people like criticize it or whatever, like each to their own, but it's like, you're constantly trying to be the best version of yourself. And, there's people that like when you dig a bit deeper, there's people that, you kind of aspire to the way they live, and it's like, when you see a lot of the people who are like, people like Tony Robbins, like, what people don't realize about him is like, he's actually like a genius in like so many different fields. He's an expert therapist. He's like a master of finance. He was, when Bill Clinton got impeached for the Monica Lewinsky thing, the first person he phoned was Tony Robbins for help. He was like Serena Williams and Michael Jordan, sports coach, Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Like people like that don't respect this guy if he's not the real thing. He's a huge philanthropist. He's got a charity in the US that's raised they fed, I think it was
homeless.
Yeah, I think it fed since it's begun, it fed 250 million people, which is amazing. So, he's just one of many. Dave Asprey, who's like probably the world's leading biohacker, he was going back year after year. And what do you call the guy from Mind Valley? Vision.
Oh yeah, the Indian dude.
Yeah, Vision something like, I mean, when we were there were so many pictures of people who, recognizable stars or whatever, like, but,
that's social proof. It gives it credit.
Absolutely.
Guys, like,
and they were going back again and again. Yeah. So it's like, it's not like they're doing it once to try it out. Yeah, exactly. So
unreal.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was really, really cool.
And do you think you'll go back to that again?
100%. Yeah, I'll definitely go back. It's like there's other stuff that I want to do as well. Like I think I'm really keen to do a Vipassana.
Yeah, so because it sounds like, so with what you're saying about the releasing the stored emotion, and the therapy that was intertwined to it all, it seems like an intense week of therapy that's actually measured. With
absolutely.
Going, this is getting rid of this. You're getting rid of this. Like people, a lot of people don't understand, and like I've been through this too. That like whenever something bad happens or traumatic, we push it down and we suppress it, and we, try and forget about it. What we're doing is that's the worst thing you could do.
Absolutely.
Like we take on, like I remember being on antidepressants to try and forget these thoughts.
But then that makes you numb. It just doesn't get the root of it.
Process it. But like the way like the old saying, you got to feel it to heal it.
That's right.
It's the scariest, most horrible thing, but it works.
Oh, absolutely. It's
it sounds like that's what you sort of
absolutely.
So you had to go through and remember all those things or whatever. And the Vipassana, I think, is the same, but I just don't think you're getting measured.
That's right. That's exactly right. I mean, this thing, like there was one element of there was something that kept coming up for me, and it was to do with an anger issue I had with someone. And I went down the first night, and they came back up and said, "No, it's still there." They went down the second night, "No, it's still there." Now the third night, it's still there. And like, I had to really dig deep and work on it, and it's probably something that I didn't want to let go of as well. But it's like
your ego kicks in, and
That's
pride
right.
kicks in,
That's
and you
right.
just go, nah, fuck this.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it was an amazing experience, and thank you, Anna, if you're listening out there, because
So 2.5 hours she meditates
amazing,
for. Like,
man.
I know Deepak Chopra is like around 2.5 hours,
Yeah,
and the Dalai Lama is 4 hours a day.
Yeah. It's so funny with Anna, because it's like she's this like like really cute, like kind of yogi Zen chick who plays a slamming techno, like she's just like the antithesis of what you would imagine. But yeah, she's a great human being, and so was like Webba, her partner. He went and he had a really good chat with him when he was out as well about Vipassana as well. And
is he into it as well?
He's into it. He made a very good comment to me, or we had a good discussion where he was like, he came out of it and he was just like, oh, I don't really feel that different and blah blah blah. And he said like 3 months later, it just came to him, and he just went bang. It was like, I get it, now he just felt a big shift, and it was like, it was really interesting. Yeah,
definitely. Vipassana was on my cards too. I was booked in at one stage, but then bailed because it's a 10-day silent retreat.
Yeah,
you can't look at people who are in.
Totally, you can't exercise. You can't, Yeah. I think one of my best mates, Brian, he had done it. He's actually gone away to do 21 days now.
Right.
But
in India, is it?
No, he's actually doing it in the UK. He's originally Scottish, and me and him were really good mates over there, and he's living in Australia now. But he was in a bit of a mess with his life, and he just went into Vipassana, just completely sorted him out, and he goes back now like probably once a year, twice a year, and does it, and it just keeps him on the right track.
Unreal. So we've covered a lot of stuff there, Mike. I've learned a lot, like I didn't know, which is exactly what I want. I'm sure everyone watching enjoyed that too. But is there anything, like, I know people can now go to Fred Hollows. Is there anything else that you would want to talk about?
No, I mean, not really, Pete. I mean, it's just like this is my first time ever doing something like this, so it's all new to me. But I hope everybody was able to understand me. But
I'll get the captions up once it goes up on YouTube.
But just for anybody out there, like, we're going to be doing a big push tomorrow with raising money for our coast trek, and just anybody who's not like the Fred Hollows page, can you please just go ahead and do it? It'll take 2 seconds, and just follow like the incredible work that they're doing.
Yep, and then go to follow the Thick As Thieves page too. That's where all the coastal trek.
Yep, that's right.
Links will be as well.
Yep.
So cool. Well, mate, thanks.
No worries, mate. Great to be on, and hopefully
we'll go get some food now.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks,
All right,
Pete.
thanks.